Okay, so, I lied. Last episode I said I would be working on the, I think I said the transfer building. Well, that was a lie. Sorry. So, in today's episode, I'm working on... Hold up. Wait, hold on a second. Yes. Even more freaking supports. This is going to be kind of an ongoing thing for a while, but I promise, in the next episode, because I've looked ahead in my footage, I will be working on not the transfer area, but some foundational work. Getting all the concrete laid for this whole area here that you see. This whole area is like a cutout of the mountainside, the hillside there. So it's all manicured, it's a lot of concrete, and except for this curve right here, there's not a lot of concrete. But all that down there in the bottom between where the trains are parked and all that fun stuff, that's going to be a lot of concrete, mulch, maybe some flower beds, stuff like that, a lot of man-made stuff. But in today's episode, it's, yes, even more supports. Mainly just trying to get everything from the brake run all the way through to the lift hill, getting all of the horizontal, the main horizontal beams. I don't know what they're actually called, ledgers, maybe? Yeah. Getting these thick beamed ledgers, because these beams are like they're twice as thick. So getting the ledgers and the main support bents in place for now. That way I can, and you'll see later, I'll put the footings in under all these as well. And then, because I really needed to try to figure out, okay, how is this area going to look? So that's why the next episode is all foundation work entirely, just all concrete, and I'll explain all of that into more detail in that episode. And then after that episode, so episode 9, will be the transfer track maintenance shed. But this episode, I'm sorry, more supports. I know you guys are probably so tired of seeing supports, but this is a wooden coaster. What do you expect? Of course, I guess that could just be the a player that just builds the coaster and doesn't support it and doesn't do any custom supports, but what's the fun in that? So here I am killing myself, just gonna support every little aspect of this thing, including every little beam for the catwalks. And I might even cover all of the rails with a black rail, like what GCI has. So in case if anyone was asking, the beams that I'm using, it's the Haunted House pillar, the 4-meter one from the Spooky DLC. So the Spooky DLC definitely has a lot of useful pieces, and I also use the Adventure DLC for like the footings, the concrete. A lot of the concrete work uses the Adventure pieces. So if you guys want Gambit, I would suggest getting at least the Spooky DLC and the Adventure pack. And I think I probably end up using some of the Studios pack as well, but that's more of the thematic stuff. Okay, there you saw me turning on, turning off my light. So I tend to use the camera light a lot, especially for when I'm doing up close stuff, because a lot of times if things are the same color, you can't see where their edges meet. So the light helps me to see exactly where all the edges and stuff line up, to make sure it's lined up appropriately. And you may notice this video is slightly slower in time-lapse speed. The previous video I had it like 1000%, and I feel like that might be too fast considering that I don't keep the camera still. I'm sorry, I have to keep the camera moving when I build. I can't keep the camera in one spot. I can't be like Silverette. He's a great builder. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he keeps the camera in one spot. I cannot. I guess I should try to do it. But man, I move around so much. It's very evident, especially when placing these wood planks. It's really hard to get the angles correct to make sure the banking is with the track. So I really have to get up close and personal with every single beam almost, and that it's really hard for me to keep the camera still. So I can try to do better at keeping it still, but no promises, because I work efficiently. And sometimes I forget that, hey, I'm doing time-lapse footage. I need to keep the camera still. Or sometimes I will turn off my recording when I know that I'm going to be doing the same thing for a long time, so that way you don't have to sit through it. but then sometimes I forget to turn it back on. So you'll see in the next couple of episodes that that's what happens. I turn off my recording and then forget to turn it back on. And so sometimes you'll see me just jumping ahead in the recording. That's just because I cut out some stuff that's not really important, or maybe I had to go back, delete some stuff, try again. It happens. So, wow, I just went through my whole list of stuff I wanted to talk about in less than 6 minutes. Okay, I wasn't planning on going through all that quickly. The main goal here is mainly just getting the supports in place. So that's all that's going on in this video. So if you don't want to see any more supports, you can just go ahead and close out the video, because that's all you're going to see in this one. And I mean, at the end of the video, you'll see me placing a few of the footings, although I didn't record a lot of time lapse of that. So you'll just see sort of the ending bit of me placing the footers. Here I realized, wait, I can copy all of these and move them down at the same time, and it won't make a difference. So, boom. Now here, it's a little interesting because it's all one track, but the track on the lower portion, it shares the same vertical beams as the brake run. So I have to make sure that the beams on the lower end of the track will line up properly, and you'll see that here in a little bit when I get to it. I don't know why it has taken me so long to get all this footage edited. One, I think I'm just lazy, and I didn't feel like editing all of this footage, because I'll record it, and I'll play the game and record my footage, but then I'll put it in a folder and forget about it until I finally decide, okay, let's go put something up other than Happily Ever After, because I'm pretty sure everyone is tired of seeing that. But I do have to admit, though, I'm getting close to finally finishing that show. So, no, go away, go away. It's not time for Happily Ever After. No, go, shoo. Okay, back to Gambit. So Gambit is going to be one of those kind of projects that I won't work on consistently. It'll be kind of a when I feel like it project. So I'm not sure if I would finish Gambit before Fury, although I do want to get back to work on Fury 325 at some point and finally get that released. It's the first project I ever started in the game, and sadly it won't be the first project I finish. But I can try to work on it. Now here it's an issue because when I was placing these beams, I wasn't sure how it would connect up with the actual transfer mechanics. So in the episode so episode 9, you'll see how I finally was able to connect this bit of track to the transfer shed and how I have it all mapped out. See, I have it all mapped out in my head and on paper. Well, somewhat on paper, but actually getting it in the game is the harder part. If I was a complete madman, I would add every single nut and bolt to each of these planks, but my computer can't handle that, so I'm not gonna risk it. You know, I left a gap there of the track for the track beneath it. I don't think I ever put any kind of iron girders in place to take care of it. You know, I have once considered getting rid of these wooden beams here and making it all sort of a steel ironwork structure to make it match the station building. So I don't know, I may go back in and do that. I do know that so right here is me just making sure that all these planks line up with the beams, the vertical beams. So yeah. But no, the turn coming out of the station, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have that be so some ironwork with stone masonry at the bottom for the footings or something. I'm not quite sure. I have it on paper how I want it to look. So yeah, in other news, I'm working the next 6 or 7 days at Magic Kingdom, and I do work at Aquatica, SeaWorld's water park. But since it's kind of cold for us Floridians right now, and water parks are not that busy, so I never get scheduled really. I maybe get scheduled once or twice every 2 weeks for over there. So I just pick up shifts over here at Magic and work here. Which, let's be honest, I enjoy this job better anyway. So. SeaWorld's a great company to work for, but I work in a kitchen over there, and it gets kind of boring. At least here at Magic Kingdom, I'm out and about and doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm really happy there. You know, I gotta bake that bread, so, you know, when baking bread, you don't have time for other things. So that means my Planet Coaster stuff and my Diagon Alley stuff is kind of on the shelf until I have time to do it. Which there's also other there's a lot of other personal stuff going on right now that there may come a time where I won't have any content out for a while. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but there's a lot of personal stuff going on right now that I don't really want to talk about. So yeah. Anyway. I didn't realize until after the fact right here that the track comes super close to this concrete foundation. So, I actually think realistically, per building codes, it might be too close to that station building foundation. So, I think realistically that wouldn't work out. They would have to remake that section of track, but shh. I think in my next episode where I do foundational work, I think I correct that issue where I change the foundation of the station building to accommodate for the track. I think, if I remember. I have to look through that footage. Remember, I filmed this footage like a month ago, if not longer. So it's been a minute. Okay, right here the struggle is making sure these beams are lined up. That way they stay kind of in the middle of this whole straight track section all the way up to the lift hill. But I think I finally either figured it out or gave up on it. So this is where I stop actually making supports for now. Now I'm going to go back in and do the vertical beams. Now here, the vertical beams that go all the way down to the ground, some of them might intersect with the track down below. So I have to kind of re-finagle the footings at the bottom, so one footing can connect to both beams. I know there's some footings that do that where there's two beams on the same footing. Engineering at its best. Something that I'm still trying to learn. We're almost there, guys. Only 4 more minutes. We got this. So there's nothing much else to this video, really. Just finishing these vertical beams and then getting some footers in place. Now, you'll see in a bit that I didn't record a lot of me placing the footers. It's just sort of the last few. So there'll be a bit of a jump cut. I've got a fade in between, so it'll fade to it, but you know, you're only going to see me placing a few of the footings, not all of them. So, because it's actually pretty time consuming to place them, because each footing, it's like its own little group of objects. So each footing is 8 pieces. It's like 2 iron girder pieces that are Thememaker Toolkit, and it's like some screen mounts for the bolts, a plank of wood, and a like a concrete pillar from the Adventure DLC, I believe. So it's like 8 pieces in total per footing. And so placing those, it takes a little bit, because it's you have to line it up correctly. Make sure it's lined up. So here I'm just now realizing, oh crap, this doesn't meet clearance. This doesn't meet clearance, Clarence. If you guys have any questions about how I'm building this, or anything in general, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer it in the next video, or just reply to the comment the best that I can. Okay, so here in a second you're going to see the fade into me placing the footings. And it's just like, finishing up the footings. Which the footings that I placed are basically temporary, because you'll see, there was the cut, because you'll see in the next video, for the most part, some of them may get raised up higher or lowered a little bit, depending on how I finalize the foundational work. So, which a lot of the foundational work was kind of done off paper or in my own head before bringing it to the game, because I didn't want to record a lot of time-lapse footage and then end up deleting everything, because it's just a waste of my computer space. So I don't like to record time-lapse footage unless I know for certain I'm going to keep it in the game. But that's basically it. So in a second, it's going to slow down to some real-time flying around right here. So here we are, kind of just flying around, looking around. And you'll see that I had adjusted some of the landscape before placing footings. And you'll see right down there's no footings at all. Because there's no need for me to place something that I know I'm going to end up deleting. And so here I'm just checking the path above, make sure it's kind of following the curve a little bit. And yeah, so this whole area, I'm really trying to make this whole area kind of come together before I do anything else of the layout, because this area is probably the most important area of the ride. Just the plaza, the foundation stuff, and all of that good jazz. So there is still a lot to be done, but it's coming together slowly, and yeah, so I really have high hopes for this project. But that's all for now, and I hope you guys enjoyed this time lapse. And I will see you in the next one, which I know for certain does not involve supports. So see you guys in the next one. Make each day count. Bye bye. I swear to God, I can't keep I can't keep doing this. Like seriously, like Premiere Pro. I can't even watch the video in normal playback speed. I have to export the video, bring it back in, watch it separately, record my video, record my voiceover. Like, oh my gosh. And it's such a headache. It takes me 3 days to make one video for this series. And plus I don't even know how to commentate. Like, seriously, what the fuck?